I think it's less about making each other happy and more about making each other better, and at the end of the day, if you're not looking to do that, I don't know that I am interested in committing a lifetime to you, because I'm absolutely certain that there will be hard times and there will be things that weren't necessarily in the plan for your life as an individual. And when that happens, I want to make sure I'm with somebody that's like, all right, how do we pivot? Hey guys, welcome back to Lex Talk. For those of you that don't know me, my name is Alexis, and the purpose of this channel is to have real conversations about life, love, and relationships, because I believe that there is healing at the intersection of our struggles, and I really think that we should talk about them. I think that we should talk about the things that we struggle with, because we'll find more often than not that we're not alone. And I also think that it's a really powerful way for us to connect with each other. And so in light of that, one struggling ass community that I have had the unpleasure of joining is Dating in My 30s, which is further complicated by being a single mom and almost divorcee in these online streets. So ding, 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 ding. Your girl is a winner of all the prizes that nobody else wants, y'all. But to be honest, I can't say that it's been that bad. Like, not to say I have no desire to be single. It's not a bad thing, but it is not what I want. It is not my lot in life. But I have been having a much better time than most, I'd say. At least most of the people that I know. And as you can see, I'm still single, but meaning I have been able to actually enjoy the process. And I think that's for a number of reasons. One, I am an extrovert and I enjoy having engaging conversations. So it's nothing for me to go on tons of dates with tons of guys and just enjoy the good company and not feel that I've wasted my time if it doesn't amount to something serious, And so even still, like, I'm able to meet people and enjoy getting to know someone, and being introduced to different personality types, and also learning a lot about myself in the process. So because of that, it's not nearly as exhausting as it is for other people, because honestly, the dating process, especially the online dating process, it is a marathon. It is literally like just being interviewed over and over and over again, it's like a performance. You're trying to put on a show, be not a show that isn't genuine to who you are, but you're trying to put the best part of yourself forward over and over and over without much like change in the outcome. At the end of the day, if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. And you've just gone through all that again. So it is a very exhausting process, but I think I just kind of enjoy the parts of it. So lucky for me in that way. But also I think that I've been lucky enough to meet some really quality people along the way. Part of it is my filter game, and not filter in the app, but like me as a person. I have a strong personality. Usually people are hot or cold with me, not really many people in the middle. So I'm, very direct. I am confident in who I am. So sometimes I don't know sometimes it doesn't come off as well as I would like it to. And I'm also pretty like open and transparent. So I'm like, let's just dive in. Let's just talk about it. Not everybody receives that very well. So if I meet a guy that isn't really, that doesn't really align with that, it's going to be quite clear very early on. They're going to ditch my ass very quickly. They're not going to be into me. And so that kind of weeds out a lot of the people that just wouldn't work. I don't really waste time in those situations. So most of my time is spent in actual, like, engaging conversations, like with somebody that is into me, that I'm into them. And that's like the starting point. I'm not having to start with the riffraff that have no business even trying to pretend that there's something with me. So that helps cure some of the exhaustion. At least most of my efforts aren't as futile. And then I think that some of it is just luck and, God looking out for me sometimes. And, because I had no business in these streets as early as I was after my separation. Like, I was out there pretty early on, for various reasons. But, as luck would have it, one of the first relationships that I got into after my ex was with someone that I consider to be my soulmate. Like, at least one of them. And it didn't work out. I don't think that the timing was right. It probably will never be right. I don't think we're compatible in that way for long term, but I don't think either one of us feels sad about that or offended. I think that we're both just honestly grateful for the connection that we shared and being able to have that with someone. So all that's to say, I made some extremely valuable and real connections along this journey so far. And I've also learned a lot of, really valuable lessons in this process. And so being forced to kind of go back into this dating pool against my will, but it forced me to grow in ways that I wouldn't have otherwise. And just like any other kind of transitional period in life, it forces you to step out of your comfort zone. And a lot of times you gain this, a level of self-awareness. You learn things that you can do that you didn't think you could, or things that you are that you didn't know you were, or things that you want that you didn't realize you had a desire for. So even though I didn't want this, journey, I didn't want it, it has done wonders for who I am as a person. And ultimately, I think it is also going to contribute to who I end up being for a partner in my future. And so it's funny, when my ex proposed to me, I was into rough diamonds. And so I had asked that be my ring. So, he proposed with a placeholder ring, knowing that I was going to have a particular taste and not even wanting to go through the hassle of trying to figure things out. Like, just ask me. And I appreciated that. And so I ended up looking for a rough diamond. So for those that don't know, a rough diamond is basically just the raw diamond as it comes out of the ground. And so it pretty much looks like a rock. It hasn't been cut or polished or refined in any way. And so what I was drawn to about them is kind of that extremely, unique character of it. Like, it's very rare that you see someone rocking an uncut diamond. I like things like that are rare, not seen a lot. They have a lot of character. They're beautiful. They're unique. It's like DNA, a fingerprint. No two rocks are the same, So I love that about them. But they're also not ready for the consumer market, which, y'all, it's so funny how that speaks to who I was, where I was at that place when I was in my 20s. Like, I had just said yes to become somebody's wife, y'all. And, don't get me wrong, I was absolutely up to the task. I still to this day would say that I was ready for what it took to be a wife, and I could have ridden that out to forever. Like, I could do the job, but I think that it would have been a little less difficult if I had gone through the refinement process that I'm currently kind of undergoing. If I had just had a little bit of, cutting and polishing to understand exactly kind of, what I needed in a relationship, what I wanted, what I brought to the table and everything. So what does the refinement look like? For me, when I was in my 20s, dating it was really just looking for a good time. Like, I was in school, I was, pursuing my goals, my career. And honestly, I was just looking for someone that was doing the same thing to kind of be alongside me. I saw the boyfriend position as just like a backdrop to what I already had kind of going on. I didn't see them like as a focus or a goal. It was really just a little snack on the side, just something to pick up, in between, due dates, deliverables, But the thing is, in my case, that snack wound up becoming the entree. And so, like, we're over here treating each other like meals when really it was more like fruit roll up is what we were to each other. And that says less about who we were as individuals and more about what we were able to provide for each other. Like, we probably should have been looking for something a little bit more nutritious, a little bit more like balanced as far as a meal, basically a long-term relationship or marriage, but we were in our 20s. We had no idea. So we just naturally thought the progression was, oh, we've been dating for a little bit. We like each other. Things are fun. Go ahead and roll that over into a marriage. But it didn't really work. So now in my 30s, and especially through this process of dating, what I'm learning to do is I'm pinpointing all the things that I need in a relationship, all the things that I need to be in place in order for me to be positioned well to succeed in that relationship. And that's going to be different for everybody. And I'm learning through each date, each conversation, something else, something new that I'm like, oh, okay, yeah, that does work for me. Or, you know what? I thought that I didn't need that, but I actually do. Or, I thought that I wanted that, but it doesn't really matter. And so what I did notice is with my ex, both of us, and not just my ex, but other past exes as well, a lot of times we would downplay the things that we needed, thinking that they weren't that important. And ultimately, it did us both a disservice because truthfully, there are things that you need. You may not know how much you need them, but when there is a need and the other person doesn't provide that need, it's okay. It's not like you can't live without them giving it to you, but it starts to you start to kind of see that person as lacking in a way, like, well, you're not providing this for me. So, what are you doing? At least when the things that they're not providing are things that are like to your core, what you need and what you want. And so you have to kind of start to really get a good handle on the things that really matter to you. And honestly, I don't think that I would have known these things, I can't say in my 20s, but without having gone through something to really make it clear that, girl, this means a lot to you, And so one of these things, don't laugh at my list, but and I say don't laugh because a lot of things might seem like, duh, bitch, like you didn't know that you needed that. No, I thought that it was something. Let me just jump into the list. One of the things was substance, and substance not meaning that that my exes didn't have substance, but substance as it relates to my desires. So as I've mentioned, I like to have engaging conversation. I like to have depth. I like to go deep very quickly and speak about all the things and know each other on, a soul level. I like intellectual stimulation. I like those kinds of things. They really kind of get me going. My ex, he liked to have fun. And we connected on that. We connected on being able to be extroverts and enjoy having a fun time together and stuff, being out, all that stuff. But the the things that I'm talking about, the things that stimulated my mind, he wasn't that into, it wasn't that he couldn't do them. It was more that wasn't something that was big in his repertoire, his toolbox, or really what he was interested in giving or receiving. And so that kind of equates to, okay, this is something that's high on my list of desires, and my person isn't able to give that to me. And so while we could absolutely still be together, it starts to mean that you're not able to provide some of the core things that I want. And I don't know, I think that can be a little troublesome if you're not careful. If you don't recognize it, and two, if you're not careful to make sure it doesn't taint your view of that person. And so while I think that I was able to deal with that, when problems started to arise, it started to be like, well, shit, you're not even meeting the main mark. And so like, wait, what are we doing, kind of thing. And I think that it absolutely was that for him with me. So depending on just your ability to get past that and be mature even when times are tough will kind of dictate whether or not you need to find someone that provides those specific things that are important to you. At least that's what I think. Another thing that I kind of not dismissed, but I just never really looked into how important it might be is compatibility. And I know that seems like, again, duh, bitch. Of course you want somebody that's compatible. Of course you need somebody that's compatible. But I didn't know what compatibility really meant. And so now what I'm learning is compatibility isn't just about like, do you both like sports? Do you like cooking? Do you like outdoors versus indoors? Compatibility can be the way that you respond to conflict. Compatibility can be the way that you see different theories, like, I don't know, conspiracies. Like, are you a person that believes in them or doesn't believe in them? It can start as something small that it might end up being something big. Just having a compatible nature with somebody and being able to get along even in things that you may not be perfectly aligned with. Do you have compatible spirits to kind of overcome, get through things? And although I think we were able to get along in many ways, I don't think we were compatible in some of the more important ways, maybe like cultural differences or the way that the things that we viewed as important. Things like, and this is not specific to us, but I think a lot of couples might have this area misaligned, is what you view as important, be it family, like cultivating that love depth in relationship versus going after your dreams. And not to say that both can't be done, but sometimes one thing has to take a backseat to another. What is that going to be? And are you two aligned on that? Because it's like a way of viewing the world that you filter all of your lives through. And when they're not the same filter, it can be problematic, Another thing that I didn't think about in my 20s, the way that I think about in my 30s, is stability financially. In my 20s, like everybody was broke. Like there was nothing to look for. Like really, we was banking everything on that potential that we saw. And Lord knows we probably weren't the best judges because, what you were doing in your 20s for very few directly coincides with what you're actually doing in your 30s and what that even means. Like, back in the day, going to school just meant that you was doing it. You were on your way. And while that may have been the stepping stone to on your way for a lot of people, for some, that was where it ended. And for others, they did it, but it didn't actually translate to dollar bills, y'all. Like, and they still out here struggling. So, in my 20s, there were a lot more people that were potentially good suitors, and they probably thought the same for me. But now in our 30s, we're walking it out. And so that X's a lot of people off the bat. Not to say, again, that I am looking for someone that is rich by any means, but stable and able to take care of their needs outside of me. That is a big thing for me, that now I'm having to really hone in on and tune into in my 30s that I didn't have to before. I need somebody that values me. And this is, of course, yes, you want somebody that values you. But in the world of online dating, where everybody is trying to punch above their weight class, meaning we have these lists of what we want, and online it feels like you can just order off the menu and pick whatever you want, and that's not the case. But you're, at the very least, you're gonna shoot your shot. You're gonna reach for the stars. You're not just gonna be, and it sounds messed up to say, like, reaching down or whatever the case may be, or dating up versus dating down. But I don't know. I feel like you can be in agreement when you have that moment that somebody reaches out to you in a DM, and in your mind you're like, but what on earth gave you the idea that I was within your reach, so it sounds weird, but we all have those moments where we're like, sir or madam, thank you kindly, but please keep it moving, kind of thing, But in the online world, that is pretty much kind of the cycle, you're just constantly hoping that the person that you're reaching for is reaching for you too, that you guys are kind of aligned on that. But it happens very often that you're reaching up and the person that you're reaching up to is reaching up to somebody else. And I don't know where that food chain stops, but I know I am not the top of it. So I don't think I'm at the bottom, but I understand my place in life, and that's cool. I'm not for everyone. Sorry. And so, yeah, I definitely want someone that values me, because in this process, when you are doing that, you find the people that are, pretty much only responding because you meet their minimum requirements, but they're not giving you the energy that you deserve or that you would get if they were truly into you. And so recognizing that, I definitely am not going to waste my time with somebody that is not all the way into me. I'm not looking for anybody to do me any favors or make me their charity case. I want someone that sees what I bring to the table and is ecstatic. And I want to be that way about someone else too, because anything less than that, and well, maybe not ecstatic, but is really like into it, because less than that, it's going to be like, well, what is the benefit of this relationship? Like, what am I getting out of it? And that's a terrible feeling to have when you're like, well into a relationship with somebody. And so, okay. So this next one, y'all, I am who I am. I need somebody that's fine, and, they don't have to be like fine, but they got to at least be kind of cute, and I say this having done my research. I have dated multiple people that are like hideous to me, like physically unattractive in the face. Like, I've done that. One I was with for years, y'all. Like, more than one, more than two, like years, because he was a good guy and he treated me well and I enjoyed his company and all that stuff. But truth be told, I did not treat him right, or the others, because as great as they treated me, nobody's perfect. And the moment that you have that disagreement, that argument, y'all just not feeling each other that moment, my mind immediately was like, you are not cute enough for me to feel this way, sir. Get it together. And that's kind of a fucked up way to deal with your partner. And so after that relationship, I vowed never to do that again. Again, I don't need my person to be fine, but kind of cute. I need that to be a feeling. I need to have a level of attraction to you physically in order for me to get past it enough to see your personality, even when we're not getting along, you know? But even so, even in that kind of cute, you know, pool, there are still like deal breakers, you know? And I have friends, you know who you are, that have different, like, you know, things that are no-goes for them. Like if you have dreads, they have to look like this, or if you have facial hair, it needs to be like this, or your teeth need to be on point. And I think when I first heard these things, I was like, oh, well, you know, those are small things. We can get over them. You can make changes, adjust. That was until I had my own little Pennsatucky from Orange is the New Black situation in my DMs. And the crazy part about it is, you know, the way that God likes to work, he over here just having a laugh up there. Like there was a guy that was super cute, really handsome in the face, body, everything looked good, at least as far as his profile was concerned. We start messaging each other back and forth, hit it off immediately. Strong chemistry, great vibes, back and forth. It was natural, organic. We get on a video chat. So mind you, these pictures, he doesn't smile with his teeth. If he does, it's very, very little that you're able to see. Now I understand it was probably intentional. But anyways, we get on a video chat and it looks like he's been chewing on a box of rocks, guys. Like I was flabbergasted. I was, whoa, what is going on there? Can you come a little closer? Oh, no. Okay. Go back far away. I think I've seen all that I need to see and I want no parts of this. And it was one of those moments that I was super humbled because I realized that I am not nearly as evolved as I thought I was, you know? And yeah, I am willing to say and willing to understand that there are just some things that mean something to me, and that's okay. So I used to like kind of pride myself on having a very short list of requirements for people, but now I have a much healthier respect for the needs and desires that I have. You know, it's pretty much just parameters to gauge whether someone is a good fit for me. And so it's crazy because in the past, I used to think that all I needed was a successful Christian man that, you know, treated me right and I don't know, just loved the Lord. But now I'm realizing that because basically I got that. I got all of that. And it was a hot heaping pile of wet garbage. No, it wasn't that bad, but it really honestly was just not the best fit. So understanding that I need to be more specific in my needs, you know, so I went from wanting a Christian man to a man that is Christ-like, because I realized that, well, for one, all Christians ain't created equal, but I'm more interested in how you navigate life, how you react and respond to life, how you move through life, than what you call yourself, because we all have like different definitions of things. And really, I want to see how you are in word and in deed. And that's kind of what's going to really help me gauge who you are and how you are, you know? So all in all, it's kind of just cultivating healthy boundaries and goals for this future relationship. And the hope is that while I'm cultivating, you know, my, you know, parameters, my future person is doing the same. And that when we meet, both of us will be able to fit those needs and most of the wants. And so I'm still very clear that there are needs and preferences. I need someone that values me. I prefer if he was 6 feet tall, but I also realize that I am all of 5'2". And so I don't need all that. And I am completely flexible on those preferences. And so it's hard to admit, but splitting from my ex has had some good things in my trajectory. And I was watching or listening rather to Shambuti's podcast, Lovers and Friends. And on it, they were talking about cocooning, which is basically the process when one partner starts to outgrow the other and decides to split in order to continue that growth. And so they were talking about it in a positive light, which it was really triggering for me, because of all of the heartache and damage and trauma that's associated with, splitting up. But I couldn't help but identify with that freedom that you get when you cut ties with someone, when you have a breakup. And so, although I still wouldn't wish, divorce or breakup on anyone, on my worst enemy, I guess this is kind of the silver lining of it is kind of the ability to grow as an individual, and also the possibility of finding someone that is a better fit, truly a better fit for you. And so, I don't know, it's still kind of a mixed bag to me, because I think it's always going to be easier to grow outside of a relationship than in one. And so does that mean that you're not supposed to be with someone? I don't know, because at the core, relationships are added responsibilities, and they take up a lot of space, and effort and all the other stuff. But is it reason to split from somebody, or should that be expected? Should you just go into a relationship knowing that you're going to do a little bit less, at least for yourself, as you focus on each other, So now in dating post-divorce, I'm a lot more concerned with my partner and I being able to grow together. So before, this was something that I think I just took for granted. I just assumed that, you get together and you just keep doing what you need to do, but with somebody alongside you, sometimes you might have to take a pause and help them. They may have to take a pause and help you. But ultimately, I thought that any relationship could do that. I didn't think that growth was easy by any means. It is always difficult to transition. It's difficult to transition and grow on your own, even more so with somebody that is also transitioning and growing, and sometimes in a slightly different direction. So I didn't think that it was easy, but I thought that it could be done if both people want to do it. I didn't recognize that people ain't out here growing together. People are out here it's time for me to grow. Goodbye, And so now I'm all right, well, what are your goals? What are my goals? Can we do them together? Are we going to help each other achieve them? Or are we going to hurt each other's ability to achieve them? And in the event that we're not able to help each other get to those goals, what is our conflict resolution skills looking like? Do we have the ability to weather the storm through this process? Are we able to find a way to exist together while we figure this shit out? And some people they can't. And so in the past, I considered myself to be, Mrs. Commitment. Commitment is something to me that I think just comes naturally. I does this, but now I don't want to does this. I don't want to does this unless I'm doing it with someone that does it equally as well. I'm not trying to commit and be the only one that's committing in this thing. So I'm realizing that everyone has different tolerance levels for commitment. It's just not something that you can assume your partner is able to do the same way that you do. And that's kind of where we start to get in a little bit of a jam up, it's just, I'm able to do this. It comes naturally to me, but for you, this takes effort. It's a struggle even. And so now my perspective is starting to shift. I still fully believe in commitment, but recognizing that others might not, it's leaving me kind of, I don't know, a little bit untethered, wondering, it's yeah, this might be the rule, but if ain't nobody following the rule, does it even matter? Going back to my quote unquote soulmate, there are plenty happily married people that never experience the level of connection that I had. And that's kind of wild, I myself, having experienced that, was like, oh shit, I was finna just live my entire life never knowing what that felt like. Never even knowing that it existed. But I was going to be happy. Like I didn't feel in the midst of it that I was missing out on something, or that what I was in wasn't fulfilling. I just thought that was what a relationship was. It was work. It's good times. It's bad times. And that's that. I didn't realize that there were levels of, joy to be received that were greater than what I had had. So I liken it to, I like chicken wings. I like lemon pepper wings the most. But I also really like buffalo wings. But if you were to say, if I never had a lemon pepper wing ever, I wouldn't go around feeling like my buffalo wings was trash. I'd just be like, man, I love me some buffalo wings, And so even if you were to tell me that lemon pepper wings existed, I wouldn't know that I liked them more. I would have just been like, oh, okay, cool. Well, I love buffalo wings, And then if I tasted lemon pepper wings and I was like, man, this is really good. I don't know if I would be like, well, you know what? I'm forget these buffalo wings. I don't want them no more. They're terrible. I never liked them in the first place. Like, I think that I'd be like, oh yeah, that is really good. But buffalo wings are still pretty damn good. I don't know. But, I don't know. I think some people might see that as settling. I don't think that I do. I think that it is another form of happiness. I think that there are levels to happiness. And I think that even though those lemon pepper wings are fire, that doesn't mean that I am unhappy with buffalo wings. I think that no matter what situation, no matter what relationship, it's going to take work. It's going to require sacrifice and compromise. And I think that that is inherent to what a relationship is. It doesn't make it bad or worse. And I think that, yes, there might be better relationships, easier relationships, even more fulfilling relationships. But I think that that's kind of part of the need. That's kind of what commitment kind of needs. I think people need to commit to marriage or partnerships in a way that transcends the individual, like, happiness. It's like, I think you need to start, you as in we, as in society, or people that decide to get married. I think it's about valuing the union over your individual kind of happiness, because at the end of the day, I think happiness is fleeting. And I think that it's more about like what you're providing to each other and your families and the world than what you're amassing on your own. And the idea is that if you are truly pouring into this, this relationship between the two of you, if both of you are equally trying to serve the marriage and serve each other, that ultimately both of you will be better for it, as opposed to focusing more singularly on your own needs and forsaking the needs of the other person and the marriage at that time. Yes, you will be good, but it came at the cost of those other two things, as opposed to focusing on the marriage that can kind of lift both up with it, both individuals up with it. And I don't know. I think that if you're able to do that, that's kind of what will motivate you to focus on building something together instead of just being by yourself. So I think it's less about making each other happy and more about making each other better, and at the end of the day, if you're not looking to do that, I don't know that I am interested in committing a lifetime to you, because I'm absolutely certain that there will be hard times and there will be things that weren't necessarily in the plan for your life as an individual. And when that happens, I want to make sure I'm with somebody that's like, all right, how do we pivot together? But I definitely have struggled during this process, wondering whether or not that is what we're supposed to be reaching towards, or is that sad or what? But honestly, I think it's probably I don't know, maybe it's more aligned with biblical views of what marriage are, where it was less about the individual and more about the families coming together, and then the shared resources and strength that came out of that union, like, as opposed to, this feels good, that's why I'm going to do it. You make me feel good. Like, that is not sustainable, yo. And I don't want that. Like, I want to be happy, but I need us to be on the same page of how we're going to get there, and knowing that sometimes we'll not feel happy, and that they will have to come from us both equally pouring into this thing that we believe in, we hope in, and we trust in. And so, yeah, in my 30s, I have been learning really what I need in order to feel safe, secure, valued, and I don't know, in a relationship, I guess. I don't know. There's a lot more that I need to say, but I think that this is enough for one thing. But I want to definitely transition into what being a single mom adds to this clusterfuck of dating parameters, because it definitely does change my outlook. It changes what I'm looking for, who I'm looking for, and how I'm looking in this pool. So, all right, guys, it's going to have to be another episode. Stay tuned for that. I'm not sure when it's going to come out, but it will come out at some point. Breathe. Thanks again so much for rocking with me through this episode. I hope that it is helpful, inspiring, or gets the juices flowing in your mind some type of way. Please comment back in the discussions below. Let me know your thoughts, what your experiences are, what things you jived with, what things you didn't jive with. All the things. Like, share, subscribe. The podcast as Lex Talk, LEXTLK, on all the podcast streaming services, on social media at is_Alexis, no E, no I, double S. And as always, I can't wait to see you in another episode. All right, guys. Bye.
Waste